This is from Pepe Tales. A group of feminists forced to share an apartment with a man and realized they were wrong. I think I know where this is going, and I'm looking forward to it. A bunch of Karens. Let's go.
Be me, Jolene. I guess I was 24 at the time. Maybe
Oh.
just turned 25. Living in an apartment with my
Oh,
two
yeah?
best friends,
Uh-huh.
Annabella and Livia.
Yeah.
We were more than friends. We were a unit, a support system.
True,
Our
true.
apartment was our sanctuary, a little corner of the world where we didn't have to deal with the constant background
She's not a Joe star, though.
noise of male entitlement. We had posters on the walls, books on the shelves, all reinforcing what we knew to be true about the world. It was a good setup, the three of us against the world. Annabella was the youngest, the true believer. Her heart was always in the right place, even if she was a bit naive.
Fucking bitches getting vibe checked by reality. It's always fun to hear about. Vibe checked by reality is something I gotta remember.
Livia was the pragmatic one. She understood the system and how to navigate it, always thinking 2 steps ahead.
Oh.
And I was the anchor, the one who kept our ideology strong, who
Ideology?
reminded us why we were doing this.
Doing
We worked
what?
retail and service jobs, paid our bills, and spent our evenings talking, decompressing from the daily frustrations. Every day felt like a small
Thank
battle,
you.
1,000 tiny aggressions we had to endure from male customers, male managers, just men in general. Our home was the only place we could let our guard down. Then the trouble started. It was subtle at first, a missed shift here, reduced hours there. The cost of everything was going up, and our paychecks weren't. We started cutting back, eating cheaper, canceling subscriptions. But it was like trying to patch a dam with chewing gum. The financial
good
pressure
analogy.
just kept building. I remember the day the first notice came. It was a polite but firm letter from our landlord, Amanda, reminding us the rent was late. We pooled our money and paid it, but we knew it was just delaying the inevitable. The next month, we were even shorter. That's when Amanda showed up in person. She wasn't a bad person, just a businesswoman. She had a mortgage to pay, and our personal struggles weren't her problem. She stood in our living room, arms crossed, and laid it all out. The message was simple. The rent was late again, and she couldn't afford to let it slide. She told us we had 2 options. Either we'd be evicted at the end of the month, or we could find a 4th person to take the empty bedroom and cover the shortfall.
Uh-oh.
We were devastated. The idea of bringing a stranger into our safe space was
I think I'm more focused on the Minecraft in the background. Okay. Fair.
horrifying. Annabella was almost in tears, talking about how it would ruin everything. Livia was already running numbers, trying to find a way out. But the math just wasn't there. I
I did the math, but damn am I bad at numbers.
argued with Amanda, tried to reason with her about our situation, but it was like talking to a brick wall. She told us she didn't care who we found, as long as they passed the background check and paid on time. She gave us a week to decide. That week was miserable. We posted ads online, looking for another woman to join us. The responses were few and far between. The ones who did reply were flaky.
Hi, Chet.
Or just didn't seem like a good fit. The deadline was approaching, and the panic was setting in. Then Amanda called me.
Hello,
She
Bonda.
sounded pleased with herself. She said she had found a tenant for the empty room.
Oh.
I felt a wave of
Uh-oh.
relief, and I asked her to tell me about the person. There was a pause on the line. Then she said the applicant's name was Johnny. I asked if she meant a woman, like Johnny with an ah. She laughed. Nope. Johnny, as in a man. I felt the blood drain from my face. I told her absolutely not. No way. We would not live with a man. It was completely out of the question. Amanda's tone turned cold. She informed me that he had already passed the background check, had a stable job, and was ready to pay the deposit and first month's rent immediately. She said under the Fair Housing Act, she couldn't discriminate based on gender. She then delivered the final blow. Her
Bam.
exact words were something like, either you accept him as a housemate,
PP
or I
ever.
accept his application to rent the entire apartment after you're all evicted. She had us. She knew she had us. It was a checkmate. We could either share our sanctuary with a man or lose it entirely. I hung up the phone and told Annabella and Livia. The mood was funereal. Annabella actually started crying, saying she felt violated already.
What the
Livia was
fuck?
furious, but her anger was directed at the system, at our financial
All right,
reality.
fair enough.
She saw it for what it was, a trap. I felt a cold, hard rage building inside me.
Johnny,
This-
I just need a place to live, you psycho bitches. God damn. Well, let's see. They did say they're angry at the system and not at the guy. So let's see how it turns out, right? This can't be just a hate men story, right? Get over with a book. Someone just whacked it at my head. What the fuck?
was it. This was the patriarchy in action.
Oh.
Even in our own home, we were being
Alright,
forced to accommodate a
alright.
man because of money and power. We spent the next couple of days in a state of dread, waiting for him to arrive. We decided that if we were being forced into this, we would set the terms. We would be in control. The day he moved in, we were all waiting in the living room. Amanda brought him by to sign the final papers. He was not what I expected. I guess I was picturing some loud, obnoxious bro type. But Johnny was quiet. He looked tired. He was wearing work clothes, jeans, and a plain t-shirt with sturdy-looking boots. His
Yep.
hands looked rough, like he worked with them. There was grease under his fingernails. He didn't say much.
I'm
just
sorry, why does this read like a fanfic?
nodded and gave one-word answers to Amanda's questions. He didn't really look at us. It felt like he was actively trying to take up as little space as possible. This didn't make me feel better. It felt like an act, a trick, a way to seem non-threatening before revealing his true nature.
Oh, come
After
on.
Amanda left, we called him into the living room for a house meeting. He stood in the doorway, not wanting to come all the way in. I was the spokesperson. I held a piece of paper in my hand. I told him that for this arrangement to work, we needed to establish some ground rules to ensure our home remained a safe space. He just watched me, his face impassive. I started reading from the list we had prepared. We called it
God
the
damn it.
roommate agreement.
They're feminists. I have about as much faith that this isn't going to be a hate men story as I have faith in the federal government. So none minus negative, bro. I trust a hungry bear to leave me alive more than I would trust the government.
First, he was not to initiate conversations with us. If we needed to speak with him, we would speak first.
Damn.
Second, he was not allowed to have guests over, especially male
What?
guests. Our home was not going to become a frat house. Third, his time in the shared bathroom was to be limited to 10 minutes in the morning. We had
What?
schedules to keep. Annabella added that he needed to keep the toilet seat down. Always. He just nodded slowly. Then I got to the final point. I explained that living in a shared space required an acknowledgement of systemic privileges. Therefore, on top of his third of the utilities, he would be required to pay a small patriarchy tax of $50 a month.
What?
I explained this was to compensate for the extra emotional labor we would have to perform living with a man, and for his disproportionate use of shared resources created through.
Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten, woman? Why he's living there in the first place? Because you can't afford the apartment and he can afford the whole thing! Oh my god.
Historically gendered labor. I was specifically talking about the washing machine and the kitchen appliances. Livia had come up with that part. It was brilliant. I expected him to argue, to get angry, to show his true colors. That's what men did when their privilege was challenged.
Privilege? You're actively... He's the oppressed one! He's the oppressed one! He has to pay a tax because he's male! I trust the bear with rabies with my life rather than defense. I'm awake. Hello, sure. I remember when it took school months to fix one glass wall thing. It was a part of the wall, like a big-ass glass panel. It was all cracked, damn. Someone pick up that phone, cause I fucking called it! True!
But he didn't. He just stood there for a moment, looking from me to Annabella to Livia. Then he let out a quiet sigh. He said, "Okay," just like that. No fight, no argument. He asked if that was everything.
I can't believe he has to pay the boopus tax.
So taken aback, I just nodded. He took the paper from my hand, went to the kitchen counter, signed his name at the bottom, and handed it back. Then he went into his room and closed the door. We were stunned. We had won. It was that easy. Annabella thought maybe he was just scared of us, of our unified front. Livia figured he was just desperate for a place to live and would agree to anything. I thought it was a sign of his guilt. He knew he was an intruder, an oppressor, and he was willing
That's crazy!
to pay the price. We felt powerful.
Oh my god.
We had taken a bad situation and turned it to our advantage. The first week or so was weirdly quiet. Johnny was like a ghost. He would leave for work early in the morning, before any of us were up. He would come home late in the evening, go straight to his room, and stay there. We would sometimes hear him moving around, but he never made much noise. He used the kitchen late at night, after we had all gone to bed.
No, you turned your perceived victimhood into a weapon like a bunch of sociopaths! True. Very, very true. God damn it.
In the morning, the only sign he'd been there was a single clean plate and fork in the drying rack. He followed all the rules perfectly. It was almost unnerving. The $50 tax was on the kitchen table in cash on the first of the month. We started to relax a little. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. He was basically a silent wallet who paid his share of the rent.
The thing you perceive men as. Wow. Oh my god, this is just too good, bro.
We had our space.
This is too good.
And he had his. The two never overlapped. We continued our lives as before, having our nightly discussions, supporting each other. We even started making jokes about our pet man tenant who lived in the back room.
What the fuck?
The first crack in our perfect system appeared about a month in. It started with the kitchen sink. It was draining slowly for a few days, and then, one evening, it just stopped draining altogether. A disgusting pool of murky, greasy water just sat there, refusing to budge. Olivia, who was the most sensitive to smells, said we had to deal with it immediately. My first instinct was to call the landlord, but Livia pointed out that the lease said clogs were the tenant's responsibility. Calling a plumber would be expensive. Annabella suggested we just wait. Maybe it would fix itself. I told them we absolutely would not be calling a man to come and fix our problems for us. It was a point of principle. We were independent women. We could fix a simple clogged sink. How hard could it be? So we tried. We tried the plunger. We tried pouring boiling water down the drain. We tried baking soda and vinegar, a trick Annabella found online. All that happened was the disgusting water bubbled a bit and smelled even worse. We spent an hour on it, getting more and more frustrated.
By YouTube
then
videos.
Livia had an idea. She wanted to try and unscrew the pipe under the sink to clear it out.
No, don't do that!
It seemed logical, but the plastic fitting was on incredibly tight. We all tried,
of course!
but none of us could.
It's good! No! You do that when the clog is empty, no water. You can do that then, and only the top screw if there's two. Oh my god, no, no. We work, with in a carpentry, you work with various different glues, right? And some glues are actually very safe to pour down the drain, in small amounts anyway. Specifically wood glue, the white one. It is absolutely safe, nothing can happen, because it's based on water, right? But what happens is that a small amount every time stops at the point in the clog where, at the drain where there's a screw. Every time, a small amount. It doesn't need much. Guess what happens in 5 to 7 years? It closes. That's the worst thing that happens. And then, when you realize it's closed, and it's empty, water-wise, you can just open the ring, unscrew it, go in with something pointy, long, and just break off all the glue parts. It's that easy. But a clogged drain from food and shit? No, hell no! You just gotta have a pump or whatever it's called. Goddamn, but these dumb bitches aren't thinking. I know! Boiling water! Who the fuck?
Get it to budge. In our frustration, we started using more force. There was a loud cracking sound, and then the trickle of water coming from the fitting turned into a steady, pulsing stream of the foulest water imaginable pouring directly onto the kitchen floor.
Who would have thought? Oh my god! All right. Since we do make kitchens, sometimes we do service, right, for kitchens. And sometimes we gotta change the dishwasher, sure. And let me tell you, the most foul, disgusting smells come from uncleaned dishwashers. We smell it when you didn't do a cleaning service thing the day before we come. We smell that shit. And we hate you actively for it. That you didn't do the thing we told you to do on the phone. We actively hate you for it. So please, do your local carpenter, local kitchen builder a favor. Just turn on the self-cleaning process on the dishwasher once the evening before we come over. Please, I beg of you. Guessing it smells like rot and sadness. No, it smells like depression from a emo kid. Oh, that is 5 weeks overdue. What the hell is happening? I'm just not awake up from the item chaos of Nio. Oh my god.
We panicked. We were throwing towels on the floor, but they were soaked in seconds. Annabella was freaking out, saying we were going to flood the apartment below us. In our moment of crisis, I did the only thing—
There's a limited amount of water in the sink! The fuck you mean you're gonna flood the bottom apartment? You guys are just gonna ruin your own floor if it's made out of wood instead of stone, sure. But you're not gonna flood the bottom apartment, what? Unless they didn't do the drain, but the water. Oh god, what the fuck? They unscrewed the water instead of the drain? What? How the fuck do you make that mistake? One is to the wall and one is to the sink. Oh my god. I had chemistry teacher ask me to help put the fetal pig samples back in storage. They had been out of the formaldehyde. My eyebrows practically melted off. Damn. Remember, Mumi, they're not just any woman, but third wave feminist by the sound of it.
I could think of. I called Maurice. Maurice was our friend, a fellow traveler in the movement. He was one of the few good ones. He understood the issues. He always listened, and he always validated our feelings. I explained the situation, and he said he would be right over. When Morris arrived, he surveyed the scene with a thoughtful expression. The kitchen floor was now a shallow pond of filth. He didn't look at the pipe. Instead, he looked at us. He started talking about how this was a perfect metaphor for late-stage capitalism.
What?
He said the pipes, the infrastructure, were created by a patriarchal system, and it was no surprise that it was failing us. He told us that our attempt to fix it ourselves was a beautiful act of resistance. While he was giving this speech, Livia was frantically trying to bail water into a bucket for the dustpan. I was trying to listen to Maurice, trying to see the bigger picture he was painting, but it was hard to concentrate with the sound of gushing water. That's when the back door opened. It was Johnny, home from work. He stopped dead in the doorway, his eyes taking in the scene. The flooded kitchen, the three of us in a panic, Morris gesturing philosophically. He didn't say a word. His face was unreadable. He looked at the gushing pipe, then looked at us. He walked back out the door. I felt a flash of anger. He was just going to leave? Just walk away from the disaster.
You caused, by the way!
Typical male behavior. Avoid responsibility. Morris didn't
Where is his responsibility? He's paying a meal tax to you! Not only did he save you from your apartment paying failure, he... Oh my god, there's no fucking way. Guy feminist has entered the building! He definitely is sex offender then. I don't want to judge. I don't know too much about that. Maurice is a troll for real. For real. I wouldn't be surprised, fair. I want to sleep, but I have so much to do, yeah. God, I hate these entitled bitches. Yes!
even seemed to notice him. He was now talking about deconstructing the very concept of plumbing.
What?
A minute later, Johnny came back in. He was carrying a large, heavy-looking toolbox. He walked past all of us, as if we weren't there.
Yeah,
He knelt
because
down
you're
in the
not.
puddle of water, not seeming to care that his jeans were getting soaked.
Oh
He
no.
placed a bucket under the leak.
It's gonna dry.
Then he took out a wrench and, with a single, smooth movement, tightened a valve somewhere that we hadn't even seen. The gushing water
Oh my
slowed to
God.
a trickle, then stopped.
They really did! They didn't unscrew the fucking drain! They unscrewed the water supply! How? How do you mistake those two? Oh my god! I'm sorry, but as someone who, on a regular basis, has to work with that shit, that's hilarious! Oh, we got crazy in 4K, true! I might be a retard, but I ain't dumb! Fucking Maurice, even less than useless. Get out of the way, micro penis Maurice. I never sleep because I worry about time and how I use it. I also can't sleep. That's not true. We proved that already. You just fucking
Silence. The only sound was the dripping from the soaked towels. Maurice had stopped talking mid-sentence.
damn.
Johnny then went to work on the cracked fitting. He took it off, looked at it, then went into his room. He came back with a small, new-looking piece of pipe and some kind of tape. In a few minutes of efficient, silent work, he had replaced the broken part. Then he took a long, flexible metal thing from his toolbox and fed it down into the open pipe in the wall. He worked it back and forth a few times, pulled it out, and there was a disgusting clump of hair and gunk on the end.
Damn.
He cleaned it off with a paper towel, put everything back together, and then turned the valve again. He turned on the faucet. The water swirled and disappeared down the drain with a satisfying gurgle. The sink was fixed. The whole process had taken less than 15 minutes. He stood up, wiped his hands on a rag. He looked at the flooded floor, then picked up the mop from the corner. He started mopping up the mess, efficiently wringing the mop into the bucket. None of us knew what to say. Morris finally spoke. He cleared his throat and said something about how it was interesting to see traditional masculine roles being performed.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god. Shut your ass, girl. Looking ass up, bro. Fuck off. Oh. Oh boy, Movie is loving that. Yes, as someone who works with his hands as well, this is delightful.
Johnny didn't even look at him. When the floor was mostly dry, he put the mop back, picked up his toolbox, and walked towards his room. As he passed, Livia quietly said, "Thank you." He paused for a second, gave a tiny, almost imperceptible nod, and then disappeared into his room, closing the door behind him. We were left standing in the clean, quiet kitchen. The problem was gone. Maurice tried to start his speech again, but the energy was gone.
Oh, you don't say, when he got actively disproven mid-fucking sentence by a physical action. I wouldn't be talking either, bro. Oh, God. Bro basically asked, can it get any worse? And it got worse. That's right, some glass just explode. Oh. Our Maurice is useful. He's the most hilarious here, and he's doing emotional labor. Maurice, go jerk off in a potted plant in the corner, you cuck!
He made some excuse about having to be somewhere and left soon after. That night, nobody felt like
helpful.
Talking. We cleaned up the last of the mess and went to our separate rooms. I lay in bed thinking. I was annoyed. I was annoyed that he had fixed it so easily, without even speaking. It felt like he was showing off.
Oh, come on, shut the fuck up! He solved your problem! The best comic relief character of modern era is the worst. Fuck off.
Simply mocking our incompetence.
No, he just solved a problem. Girl, I love solving problems. And I think he does too. It's really that simple. Go fuck yourself, woman, because Johnny won't!
It was a display of toxic masculinity, of solving problems with tools and brute force.
Brute force, by the way! Who the fuck broke it with brute force, by the way? Who was it? Who was it? He didn't even have to solve it, and he did it! Indoctrinated cultist bitch! Oh my god!
Instead of communication and collaboration.
So, if you have the tools, knowledge, and skills to fix something in the smallest time amount possible, why the fuck would you want bureaucratic bullshit like collaboration to take up time? I don't understand. Do you not want the problem to be fixed as soon as possible? Is that simply it?
But as I was thinking that, a small, uncomfortable thought entered my mind. What had communication and collaboration gotten us? A flooded kitchen and a lecture. His tools and brute force had gotten us a working sink.
It's a set of skills, a particular set of skills and tools. Come on, it's not brute force. Brute force is when I take a hammer and hope for the best. And yes, we do that sometimes. And yes, it works 90% of the time.
And a dry floor. I pushed the thought away. It was just a fluke. We were just unprepared. Next time we would do better. But I noticed something had changed. Livia was quieter than usual for the next few days, and I saw her watching Johnny sometimes when she thought no one was looking. A tiny crack had appeared in the foundation of our fortress. And
Livia! She's the diamond for what it is! Brute force is what we use to get the computer to work. You threaten it with a hammer, of course. It works every time.
Didn't like it one bit. The incident with the sink created a strange tension in the apartment. It was like a question.
Damn, that was kind of hot. Exactly.
Outwardly, things went back to normal.
Oh.
But the dynamic had shifted. Livia was definitely looking at things differently. She stopped making snide comments about Johnny, and when I tried to bring up male incompetence, she would just get quiet and change the subject.
That male incompetence was actively disproven in front of you. You not seeing that means you do not look at information that is presented to you, and you have an issue. Livia can learn. You are too stubborn. When calculator doesn't work, I just whack it and it works again. Same! Sometimes the batteries are just out of whack, so, whacking them back into place works.
Bella was confused. She was loyal to our cause, to me, but she couldn't ignore what she had seen. She saw a problem, and she saw it get solved. It was simple, and it contradicted everything we believed. I felt like I had to work harder to keep our ideology intact. I tried to frame the sink incident as a learning experience. I said it showed how the system makes women dependent on male skills.
Anyone, and I mean anyone, can learn practical skills. You mean female incompetence? Does it work? Oh, I didn't activate that after my PC crashed. Sorry about that.
And that we should take a basic plumbing course to empower ourselves. Livia just gave me a flat look and asked if we should take an electrical course and a drywall course too, just in case. The sarcasm was obvious.
Yeah. Also, you don't need a whole fucking course. I can make a drywall course for you by watching a 5-minute YouTube tutorial. Come on. Fixing a hole in the wall is way simpler than putting up the wall from ground up. If the wall is already there, fixing it is the least of your issues. Especially drywall. Come on. Come on, drywall ain't that hard to do. Fuck's sake. Someone in my class once just threw it hard at the ground when their calculator didn't work. Guess what happened? It exploded into pieces. Well, he's an idiot. We? Why are you talking that? You are in some kind of cult, our cause? Yes, let's not take on new information and use it to change the conclusion, but make excuses as to why this doesn't disprove our conclusion. Flat Earth theory in a nutshell?
I doubled down, talking more about toxic masculinity, about how Johnny's silent fixing was a form of control, a way to assert dominance without words.
You know what everyone could have done in that second? Tell him thank you. I have a feeling that Johnny is just aware that every single one of them is a lunatic bitch based on the male tax, which, what? But, you know, and he knows what you guys think and how you think. And that's why when one of you gave him a thank you, he was shook. He genuinely didn't expect that. I'm going to enjoy the Schadenfreude at the end of this.
Annabella would nod along, but she didn't look convinced anymore.
Yeah.
Livia would just leave the room. I felt like I was losing them. The foundation of our little world was cracking.
Your little world was based on hating men. What the fuck you think when the men you very much hate fix your problems?
Then, a couple of months later, the real test came.
Oh?
It was getting into late fall, the kind of weather that gets cold and miserable. Rain for days, a damp chill that gets into your bones. One night, I think it was a Tuesday, the power went out. It wasn't just us. The whole block went dark. One moment the lights were on, the next, just blackness and silence. At first, it was kind of exciting. We lit some candles and huddled together in the living room. But the hours dragged on. The apartment, which was old and poorly insulated, started getting cold. Really cold.
Oh yeah, it gets cold.
We could see our breath in the candlelight. We piled on every...
You can see my breath when it's cold because I keep the window open.
blanket we owned, but the chill was relentless. Annabella started to get genuinely scared. She hated the cold, and she was worried about how long it would last. Livia was practical, trying to figure out if we had any food that didn't need cooking. The answer was basically crackers and a sad-looking bag of chips. I tried to keep everyone's spirits up, talking about how this was a chance to disconnect from technology and reconnect with each other.
Brr.
After about 3 hours of shivering, my little speech wasn't working anymore. We were miserable and hungry and cold. And of course, someone suggested calling Maurice.
No, do not!
He answered on the first ring, full of concern. He said the power was out at his place too, but he promised to come over and bring supplies. We felt a bit of hope. Maybe he'd have a flashlight or some ideas.
Let me guess, he's just gotta bring food and maybe one singular blanket. And that's it. I mean, that would be helpful already. Or the supplies is a book on how patriarchy is at fault and how the light is the electricity is patriarchy fueling systems. I don't fucking know. I don't know that speech. I'm already taking sadistically and hearing the narrative of the cult is crumbling. Oh my god. You're so sadistically glee at this that you could convert to a Slaanesh cult. You're embracing Slaanesh at this point. Honestly, the feminists are just hilarious, but they at least the better than performative tradwife that trying to maximize min-max her life by obtaining advantages of marriage and keep the opportunities of modern women in society. What? But they at least better than performative tradwife that trying to min-max her life by obtaining advantages of marriage and keep the opportunities of modern women in society. Oh, both at the same time. Yeah, fair. What he does is hilarious. I trust. My brain is just asleep. I'm not following what's happening. I blame math. I blame the Minecraft and the background. Or he's going to take this opportunity to do what all male feminists do in this scenario.
He showed up about an hour later. The supplies he brought consisted of a bag of kale chips and a single large bottle of kombucha. He also brought his...
How do you disappoint my already low expectations? This is just precious, man. What? Those are some weak ass supplies, bro. A bag of chips and a large bottle of fucking alcohol. He took the opportunity of them being depressed and wants to fuck. I can already picture the cock of a man in my mind's eye. True. I don't remember what's been happening. I only remember Boo yapping about his job or something. True.
Acoustic guitar. He told us that in times of crisis, the most important thing was to maintain spiritual harmony. He suggested we all sit in a circle, hold hands, and meditate on our collective inner warmth.
How do you come up with that? Mummy, they are feminists. You know the rules. Never put it in crazies.
Annabella just stared at him, shivering too hard to speak. Livia looked like she was about to commit a violent crime. I tried to be diplomatic, suggesting that maybe a more practical solution was needed. Morris seemed disappointed in my lack of spiritual fortitude. He then launched into a long monologue about how the centralized power grid was a symbol of patriarchal control.
Oh my God, how did I know? Oh God, all this guy can do is talk. Brother, the time for talks is over. We have to speak with our actions, not our words. Glasses that aren't prescription lenses, shitty fox lumberjack beard, flannel shirt, designer skinny jeans, and probably a ring on one of his nostrils.
That this blackout was an opportunity for us to embrace a more decentralized, eco-feminist way of life.
Oh my God.
As he was explaining this, the door to Johnny's room opened. We all turned to look. He was wearing a thick flannel shirt and holding a small, powerful-looking flashlight. He shone the beam around the room, his eyes landing on the thin, useless candles we had lit. He didn't say anything to us. He just went to the window that faced the street. He pushed aside the curtain and looked out for a moment, then went to the other windows and did the same. He came back to the living room and started running his hand along the bottom of the window frames, where the cold air was seeping in. Then he went back to his room. We heard some rustling, and he came back out carrying two...
Oh my God! He's gonna insulate the windows that weren't insulated properly! Oh my God!
Old thick blankets and a roll of duct tape. He went to the draftiest window and started expertly tearing off strips of tape and using them to seal the edges of the old blankets against the frame, creating a makeshift layer of insulation. The effect was immediate. The icy draft that had been chilling the room was cut off. Maurice stopped his speech and watched, a frown on his face. He muttered something about how sealing ourselves in was symbolically problematic. No one was listening to him.
Yeah, the guy who talks and the guy who does actions. Like, who you gonna listen to? The guy that fixes your problems, or the guy that talks about your problems being a problem of someone else? Like, who you gonna listen to? Like, oh, and basic bitch black hair. He occasionally dyes in neon colors. Damn. Because when you lose power, you obviously bring your guitar, sing and mediate. Makes complete sense in an insulated house, maybe. But that is not the case. Oh, everything is a symbol of patriarchy society at this point. Yes. I know I should sleep, but I need to think of what I need to paint for art class. And I have no fucking idea what to do. Well, I don't know either. You're not going to manifest electricity into working, bro. This man was raised by his mother, who was a college professor. Look, man, not all men that get raised by their mothers are bad. Look at me. I'm a VTuber. But I am also a carpenter. You're the exception. No, my friends were raised by their mothers too. And they're pretty decent as well. Well, they're not working with their hands. One of them is IT and the other one is in the medical field. But yeah, still very good. The thing I could think of was a squirrel and a dragon. The fuck was I think? That actually sounds kind of awesome. Do it. Make them have like a really cool relationship too. Gonna give him his due. He knows the theory too well. No feminist is gonna blame him in heresy. You're the exception. They got lucky. All right, look. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's just so prevalent in America, okay? I'm just joking around.
After Johnny had sealed all the windows in the living room, he went back to his room again. He returned with a small metal contraption that I later learned was a camping stove. He also had a metal kettle and a few bottles of water. He set
Where
it up
the fuck does he store all that shit in his room? Does he have like a bag of holding? Like what the fuck? I've tried to draw a dragon a lot, fuck it up every time. I can't paint one. Yeah, but art class is not for success. It's for making your skills. It's not for a first try success. It's for failure that eventually brings success. Stop thinking of, I can't do this. Stop thinking, oh, this is ugly. Start thinking, oh, there I should improve. There I should improve. There I should improve. Oh, this actually is pretty nice. This I can let go for now and improve when it's the worst thing on my painting. Like, goddamn, bro. If you don't try, you can't fucking succeed. Yeah, I know, but my art teacher is strict as fuck. The fuck that art teacher for? Oh my god. Wait, do you have that fucking college level education art professor where it's like, your lines are ugly, and I can possibly have failed you in teaching? I mean, he lives in America. Every college professor in America is feminist. If you are not, you will be accused of heresy, sorry, misogyny, and be fired immediately on the spot if they figure you out. True. But you don't have a useful shit needed forever or emergency bag. All right, fair enough.
On the kitchen counter, lit it, and a few minutes later, the sound of a whistling kettle filled the apartment. He found some mugs in the cabinet, spooned some instant coffee into 3 of them, and poured the hot water.
Oh, he didn't make one for Maurice.
And handed a mug to me, one to Annabella and one to Livia. He didn't make one for Morris. The warmth of the ceramic mug in my frozen hands was one of the best feelings I've ever had. The hot coffee was even better. It was like life flowing back into me.
Maurice doesn't get
Annabella
coffee. Of
was
course
cradling
not.
her mug like it
He's
was
not
a precious
paying the mail tax.
treasure, tears of gratitude welling up in her eyes. Johnny then went back to his room one last time. He came out with 2 thick, high-tech-looking sleeping bags. He unrolled them and handed one to Annabella and one to Livia. He just gestured for them to get in. Annabella didn't hesitate. She crawled into the sleeping bag, zipped it up, and let out a long, happy sigh as her body finally started to warm up. Livia followed suit. Johnny looked at me, huddled in my thin blanket, holding my coffee. He didn't offer me a sleeping bag. There was no malice in it. It was just a fact. He had 2, and he gave them to the 2 who weren't the leader of the anti-man club. Then he picked up his flashlight, went back to his room, and closed the door. The living room was quiet, except for the sound of us sipping our coffee.
Maybe it's because you had a fucking blanket And there were only 2 sleeping bags required since you had a blanket? If he really wanted to make a show of, you being the leader, he could have just not given you a coffee. Like, what the fuck? I mean, is strive into being better in content creation every day, and that's kind of my journey. Yeah, for sure, bro. Mind you, it's instant coffee, so it's not the best, but coffee is coffee. Fair enough! I don't know, but I do get a lot of, you need to do this better and stuff. I don't even do what I want. It's art. It's for creativity. Yeah, apparently not. You gotta do what she wants, not what you want. It's disgusting. I was lucky. I keep saying this, but I was really very lucky in well, for the most part. At least one of them hated me. But for the most part, I was lucky with my teachers. Right? And I'm not talking about the guy that saved me, but more like the art class teachers. Also very lucky with them. Like, goddamn. In our first year, she let us listen to music in art class. It was the only class we could actually use our phones in. Until one guy in some other class told his math teacher, we are allowed to listen to music in the art class, though. And then the school made a rule where no one is supposed to listen to music anywhere. And we weren't allowed to use music anymore, which sucked ass. But do you have postmodern artist professor or something? No, worse. What are they called again? Abstract art professor. Paint your art teacher in an unflattering way. Or don't, because we don't want you to make trouble. Yeah, we are also allowed to listen to music, but still. Or do it anyway and call it tyranny. Oh, God.
Coffee. Morris was standing there, holding his guitar, looking completely and utterly irrelevant.
Because he
tried to
is?
save face. He said something like, well, I guess a reliance on fossil fuels and capitalist-produced camping gear is one.
Did you, are you just as flabbergasted as I am at the... God damn it! How? Does...
One response to this situation.
Yeah, you're not surprised, I guess.
Livia's head popped out of her sleeping bag. She looked at Maurice with pure contempt. She told him, her voice dripping with ice, that he should probably leave. She said his spiritual harmony was giving her a headache.
Damn!
Maurice was
damn!
shocked.
Livia! God damn! Holy shit! Honestly, I think Western society needs to revisit the concept of masculinity. This thing is making us strive for better, improve ourselves, and have good emotional shield. At the end of the day, do you think feminine boys can fight at wars? Do you think? Okay. Yeah. It was a predictable as fucking sunrise. She gives us tests and there is a picture of a white wall and some rocks. Then the question is, how does this represent nature? Name 3 different things. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to answer? And she wants us to answer in the most detailed way. What? And we also cast socialism and Marxism into the fires? Please. Olivia turned face. Oh.
He looked to me for support. I just looked down into my coffee cup. I had nothing to say.
Damn.
He left,
Damn.
looking wounded and betrayed. The 3 of us stayed in the living room that night. Annabella and Livia warm in their sleeping bags, me wrapped in every blanket I owned, still cold. The power came back on some time in the middle of the night. But the damage was done. Our ideology had been pitted against a simple physical reality, the cold, and it had failed spectacularly.
Yup.
Morris, our chosen male ally, had offered lectures and kale chips,
Instead of
Johnny,
help.
the silent intruder, had offered warmth and practical solutions. The evidence was
Wow.
undeniable. After that night, things were different. The resistance was over. Annabella started being openly polite to Johnny. She would say good morning to him or thank him if he held a door open.
This reads like a fucking movie. Not that bad in drawing and painting, but I get bad grades due to those fucking tests. That is retarded as hell. The fuck you mean? No, we had, in our art class, we never even had a test. Well, no, we did. That's wrong. However, our tests were, we get like free lectures of teaching a specific skill in art, like for example, different kinds of shading, and the how well we mastered it is the grade you get at the end. Wow, how you use it is up to you. It just needs to be relevant in what you do. Or making something seem further away by making the lines further apart and stuff like that. We did get practical lessons on art. Kind of jealous of your tests. Yeah, no, our tests were great in art. My math teacher for 8th and 9th year, she hated me because I was actually better at explaining stuff than she was. Describe it as disconnected and as useless as the professor who's setting the terms. I suggest cutting loose losses and dropping the course. This professor sounds so up her own ass. She has a perfect mold of her whole head up there. God damn. And I need to remember like 50 words and everything about that. Is so dumb. Art is about art, not about words. Don't know why I care. I don't live in US, so I should probably watch their world going ablaze. But I feel bad for the people that caught in crossfire. But the trick is that in this situation, the whole civilization is caught in crossfire. They can understand that this was wrong, that it will probably be too late. Yep. You know how bad my memory is. Yeah, exactly.
Livia started cleaning up the whole kitchen, not just her part. A silent acknowledgement that he was part of the household now. I was the last holdout. I couldn't bring myself to admit defeat. I just avoided it, staying in my room more, keeping my head down. The tension between me and the other two girls was growing. They were moving on, and I was stuck in the past.
Yup.
The final, humiliating straw came about a month later. It was late, probably after midnight. Livia and Annabella were already asleep. I had been in the living room reading and went to go back to my bedroom. I closed the door behind me, and it made a weird clicking sound. I tried the handle. It wouldn't turn. The old lock mechanism in the handle had jammed or broken somehow. I was locked out of my own bedroom. My phone was on my nightstand. My keys were in my jacket pocket inside the room. My wallet, everything. I was standing in the hallway in my pajamas with nothing. I tried jiggling the handle. I tried pushing on the door. Nothing. It was stuck fast. A wave.
Fuck you too, chemist. If the States goes away of the USSR, all y'all in Europe are fucked. Fair enough. Fucking Switzerland complaining about having to pay the same rates as Americans. Hey, I have planning book. You should have something like diary too, to see what you did and how you progress. That will also keep you working every day.
A wave of pure cold panic washed over me. I was trapped.
Yep.
My first thought was that I could sleep on the couch and deal with it in the morning. But the thought of the humiliation of having to explain to Livia and Annabella how I got locked out was too much. I quietly knocked on Livia's door until she woke up. She was groggy and confused, but when she understood the situation, she was sympathetic. We both tried the door. It was no use. Livia got her laptop, and my heart sank because I knew what my only option was. I had to message Maurice.
Do not!
My hands were shaking as I typed out the message, explaining what happened. His reply came a few minutes later. It was not helpful. He started by saying that this was a fascinating psychological event. He wrote, "The door is a barrier, a construct.
This guy.
By being locked out, the universe is forcing you to confront the barriers you've built around yourself. Instead of trying to open the door, perhaps you should try to deconstruct the very concept of what a door is." I just stared at the screen. Deconstruct the...
A door is a pathway. If you want to get out of the concept, just open the door. However, the door is broken. What do? You fix it so you can leave. Oh my god! Deconstructed your argument! I'm going insane here, bro. What
concept
is
of the door.
this?
I was standing in a cold hallway in my pajamas, locked out of my room, and this was his advice. Livia read the message over my shoulder. She didn't say anything. She just closed the laptop. She looked at me, then looked down the hallway towards Johnny's room. I knew what she was thinking, and I hated it. I whispered, "No, we can't." Livia looked me dead in the eye. Her expression was weary.
I'm sorry. This is just going so perfectly for Johnny. I can't believe this is real. I can't believe this actually happened. There is no way, right? And yes, I'm going to paint the dragon and squirrel. Hail ye. Plot twist, Maurice is a troll who trolling them from the start. When I want to hit Maurice with a door. Chemist, the world is globalized and America is the biggest economic force on it. It's propping up more nations than I wanted to for some reason. And if it goes, China's going with it fast. Huh. Just shivered so hard I cracked my neck. Damn. Global economic collapse then smashes everything apart. You know what? Fair enough.
She looked so tired of me, of my stubbornness. She just said, "Jolene, stop. Just stop." Then she turned and walked down the hallway and knocked quietly on his door. It was the walk of shame. My walk of shame. A moment later, the door opened. Johnny was standing there, squinting in the light, clearly having been fast asleep. He was just wearing a pair of gym shorts. Livia explained the situation in a low voice, pointing at my door. He listened, his expression not changing. He just nodded. He went back into his room for a second and came out with something in his hand. It looked like a credit card. He walked up to my door. He didn't even look at me. He slid the card into the crack between the door and the frame, right near the latch. He wiggled it for a few seconds. There was a soft click. He turned the handle, and the door swung open. My room, my safe space, opened in 3 seconds by the man I had despised. He handed the card back to Livia. He looked at me for the first time, a quick, tired glance. Then he turned around, walked back to his room, and closed the door. The entire interaction had lasted less than a minute. I was left standing in the open doorway of my room, drowning in a sea of my own hypocrisy and humiliation. Everything I believed in, every theory, every argument, had been rendered completely and utterly useless by a jammed piece of metal and a small piece of plastic. That was the end. I had nothing left to fight with. Reality had won.
Oh my god. This gotta be a fanfic at this point. Also, guys in chat, stop fighting about economy, please. We're all just victims of it. Whether we live in Asia or America or fucking Switzerland is something I read. Whether we live in fucking Europe, we're all just common people, plebs that are the fatality of globalist capitalism. Should have always stayed within the same country. Capitalism won't work on a global scale unless we have super Earth. and not a bunch of continents and countries. And I don't want Super Earth. Yes, it's fun to spread democracy, but everything else. Ooh. Oh, God. When it was 3 p.m., I remembered I had to eat. I'm talking about today in school. Oh. Oh, damn. Or on floating pyramid. Fair enough! But I am very self-sufficient on my floating pyramid. Get fucked, idiots.
The air in the apartment felt different. It was lighter. Livia and Annabella were in the kitchen when I came out. They gave me gentle, sympathetic smiles. They didn't say, "I told you so." They didn't have to. Later that day, while Johnny was at work, I walked over to the wall where we had pinned the roommate agreement. I took it down. Livia and Annabella watched me. I tore it into 4 pieces and dropped it in the trash can. The next day, on the 1st of the month, I left Johnny's share of the utility bills on the table like always. Next to it, I placed a $50 bill.
Oh?
When he got home that evening, he came into the kitchen, saw the money, and paused. He looked at me, and I met his gaze. I just gave a small nod. He picked up the money, put it in his wallet, and went to his room. Nothing was said. It wasn't a truce. It was a surrender. My surrender. Life in the apartment found a new rhythm after that. It wasn't like we all became best friends. It was never going to be that. But it became normal.
Oh my God! Once you stop antagonizing the guy, it actually becomes peaceful and normal. Who would have thought? My vision is kind of blurry. Go to sleep! Well, the democracy on that scale doesn't work. That's why Republicans are superior. The Bretton Woods system cannot hold itself because the only superiority that kept it afloat, US military supremacy, is gone. They will not say it, but they know. There are more than just one shark in the sea. I mean, the US military has more supremacy nowadays than it ever had before. I mean, they did demonstrate it quite well by yoinking a country's dictator. I need to sketch the dragon and squirrel the homework. No! Go to sleep. When is your first fucking class tomorrow? When is your first fucking class tomorrow? Tell me. You have more than 12 hours. Sleep now, work tomorrow, before class. You'll be awake, you'll have energy, and it's fine. Is your first class art class? If not, you're good! I hate saying do it tomorrow, but you really need to. We don't even know how much the US military is hiding its power level. True. Exactly. Hey, go to sleep. Sketch it tomorrow when you wake up at like 7. That way you'll have more than 2 hours before your first class, and then you'll have more time. Come on, bro. It's simple. Just go to sleep now with peace of mind. Wake up refreshed with enough sleep, and you'll have a good fucking sketch ready. Please, I beg of you.
We were roommates. Annabella would sometimes cook a little extra for dinner and leave a plate for him on the counter. Livia once asked him for help carrying a heavy piece of furniture she'd bought. He did it without complaint. I started just treating him like a person. I'd say hello. I'd ask him if he needed anything from the store. He was always polite, always quiet. He still mostly kept to himself. But it wasn't the hostile silence of before. It was just his way. He was a quiet, hard-working guy.
I think it's more your perception has changed and not that he changed, but brother. What the fuck about Taiwan? Really? What about Taiwan? They supported it, but it still didn't gain an independence from China. Why? What? What? What about mans on the Middle East that keep destroying their ships? You do not touch the US boats. What? What ships are being attacked? China hates Taiwan. And China... Look. What the US does and doesn't do is really something I have no control over or an idea about. I am not informed about their under-table dealings. Okay, why do we keep having F-22 fight with handicaps? Oh, we also have fucking naval railguns, so get ready for that shit. If US pulls out of military support from everything but their own force, we are not ready in Europe to face anything at the moment. I am aware of that, which is why I support military in my country. Even if it's little resistance we can offer up, it's still resistance. The fuck? A strong military, we will do nothing but be good for us. Like, what? Also, can you two stop fighting? You're literally having my grade leader can beat up your grade leader. Like, stop that shit. Fucking gay ass. Holy fuck. Go to sleep now. We're getting worried about you. You need to rest and get your life in order. Fair.
Who just wanted to be left alone.
We're having fun. I don't believe you!
Like a monster, a symbol of everything we hated. But he wasn't a symbol. He was just a man, a person. And in the end, his quiet competence and simple human decency had taught us more than all the books and blogs we had ever read. He never lorded his victories over us. He never said a word about the sink, or the cold, or the door. He didn't have to. He had just lived his life, and in doing so, he had dismantled our entire worldview without even trying. It was the most profound and humiliating lesson of my life. We were wrong. It was as simple and as complicated as that. We were just wrong.
This is a fake story. In my mind, this is a completely made-up story. This is made up. You got fooled. Never happened. The fucking X Factor thing. Also, this is Pepe Talks, the channel. Check him out. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know, that works. Show him love. It was fun to listen to, though.